Hello, my friends. Welcome to another episode of Deep True Crime, where we explore the cases that are going on or cases that have been solved. And the whole focus around this channel is to help you stay on top of the things you have to be aware of. Because truth is, a lot of stuff happens around us. Are you aware of what goes on around you? Because you always want to know your surroundings, and that's what this show is about. What's going on out there that, hey, we better be aware this stuff can happen to us if we're not careful. Truth is, it doesn't matter how careful we are, stuff can still happen. But what about being alert? What about being aware? What about being careful? Just not necessarily careful, but more just on top of what's going on around you. That's exactly what this show is about. And in today's episode, we're going to be exploring the new serial killer capture. So far, they have linked 6 deaths to him between 2 states. So, suspected serial killer is looking like he may have been not doing some kosher things. And so alleged serial killer Perez Reed used same gun, wore same shoes to kill 6 people. And that's why I title this Caught Red-Handed, because they caught him with those same shoes and that same gun that is tied to 6 deaths. Right now, it looks like he's charged with 2 of those 6 deaths, and so more pending charges could be coming. But it looks like alleged serial killer Perez Reed. So it's interesting how they caught up with him, and I'll get into that. But when you look at what surrounds this guy, and I'm not even talking about looks, I'm not talking about just what has led the cops and the detectives and the investigators all to this guy, even following him from one state to another, where they finally arrested him. And that's exactly what we're going to be exploring today. And this is a case where, more is going to come out. I will say more is going to come out. But when you look at what's tied to this, that's what makes this so fishy. Like, what is the motive behind all of this? It looks like it's all women that it is tied to, and we can only wait to find out more as we get more news around this. And so police have arrested a man they believe to be the serial killer responsible for 6 murders and several shootings that happened in the St. Louis County, Kansas City, Kansas area. And this was over 2 months. And they've been working on tracking them and of course, doing their investigation. But they have finally linked Perez Reed to these killings. And so they've linked them so far to 2 murders and 1 shooting in the St. Louis City and 2 murders in St. Louis County. And this was after they caught him with that he used this same gun to shoot all the victims. That same gun that they found on him, they've linked those to the murders. And it's a .40 caliber Smith & Wesson pistol. And I should have had a picture of it, because I wonder what that does look like. And let's see. This looks like what that .40 caliber Smith & Wesson could look like. I don't know for sure which one. And, I'm sure they have pictures of this thing that has not been released yet. I don't think. Let's see if it's... I doubt it, but... So maybe this is it. Maybe. I mean, it kind of looks like one of those other images. So maybe it's not actually it. But they could be just showing it because it exactly the reason why I did it, to show you what it looks like. I don't know. Maybe that's the actual picture. And so that is what they caught him with, which then tied it to some murders. Some murders in Kansas City, Missouri, some murders in St. Louis County, some murders in St. Louis City. And my gosh, it's a good thing they whatever led them to down this road to get him. Like, this is terrible. Like, why? Like, I never understand why people would do this anyway, but like, I mean, he even still had the gun on him. Like, he wasn't thinking about this very clearly, probably. I mean, and they showed pictures of him having a crescent moon. What's the relevance of a crescent moon on his forehead? I wonder about that as well. And so he had that crescent tattoo between his eyes. I wonder if there's any, like, what would be a crescent? What would be the significance of that crescent? I wonder about that. But they connected him to 2 murders in a high-rise apartment complex in Kansas City. And this happened in late October. And they had this through some other evidence as well. And so, and when they pushed this report out, right away the arrest began. They arrested him right away, like literally. And so they charged them with 2 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of first-degree assault against Reed. This is proof that they no problem had coming up with to get a warrant out for his arrest in order to charge him. And so, make that a little bigger. And now they have that same gun that is tied to all these victims, and now they can go even harder at them. And so what's interesting is that most of the victims were women, and it involved some who were sex workers and other victims known to dress as women. Some of the victims were shot in the back of their heads. I mean, like, this guy, I'm thinking, considering that he continued to do this, he didn't have any remorse. Like, it doesn't sound like this guy might have had any remorse. All right, he's passing by. But what's interesting, according to investigators, none of the victims, they didn't quite fit into any type of pattern. And even those that survived, they didn't quite fit into a pattern to help establish a motive. Right now, they still don't have a motive. One man was waiting for a bus when he was shot, but he did survive. And police do not believe the victims even knew each other, and most of them did not know their killer. So why would he, like, what was his anger? What was his anger? And according to his records, he didn't even have much of a criminal history. So what was his anger? Did he truly believe he would get away with this? And of course, we're still going to learn more. We're still going to learn more about this case. And when you look at it, when you think about what brought this together, what brought this whole thing together? What helped lead them to him? And so this came together after police in Kansas City called the St. Louis police following 2 murders that happened here in St. Louis in late October, that happened in Kansas City there in late October. So with this, that's where the apartment shootings happened. And a man and a woman were found shot to death in separate apartments. They weren't even in the same apartments, but they were shot two apartments apart in the same complex. Right? in the same complex. So here you have an apartment complex where let's show you a picture of this. They're in this apartment complex, 2 apartments apart. He killed 2 people in there. He killed 2 people he actually killed three neighbors right there. And so I'll share this with you right here. The residents of Rau'daja Towers held a balloon release Sunday night, coming together in prayer and solitude to remember 3 neighbors they lost. Wow. And this happened over a 2-day period. You could see, according to the Kansas City police, each death was suspicious and investigating them as homicides. But this is where they were celebrating and releasing balloons in their honor. All we can do is gather together and be there for each other. That's awesome. I can definitely appreciate that. And releasing the balloons was a way of saying their goodbyes. Rau'daja Pharaoh, rest in peace, at 25 years old, was so young. They were one of the 3 people found deceased last week inside the towers. And I can see definitely why her loved ones would be having a problem, struggling to deal with this. And so her friend Zena Johnson, she shares she loved just hanging out in the building with everybody. She loved to get everybody together. We used to get together, play cards, play dominoes, eat. One of her favorite foods was Chinese food and crawfish. Rest in peace, Rau'daja. And you can see they brought them together, releasing them, remembering them, sharing their loving memories of one another, of their time together there. That's where it gets hard on here. And this guy did that. He did that. And six killings are tied to this guy. Get a strong case, and you never want to put away the wrong person, but you're tying a gun, you're tying shoes that he had, tying the footprints to the murder scene. It's not looking good. Not looking good. And that's exactly why it's okay, go and find the guy and do what's right and put him to justice. And when they had these 2 murders in late October in Kansas City, that's where it's all right, let's call St. Louis because there's some similar activity going on over there. And so then police connected the suspect's cell phone to an Amtrak ticket that the suspect had brought to bring back to St. Louis. So he was going from Kansas City to St. Louis, and they tied his cell phone, because he used his cell phone to buy that ticket, and he used his cell phone to connect. If there's anyone we need to contact, who do we call? And so FBI agents followed him onto a train, and he got off the train and boarded a bus, and police arrested him at that time. And they arrested him right when he got off the bus. When he got on the bus, he went to Independence, Missouri, on his way to St. Louis. And when he got off the bus there, that's when they arrested him. So when it was probably a rest stop or change, and he got off on Independence, Missouri, which the next one would have probably led to St. Louis, and they got him right there because they were already tracking him. They were already following him. And he had the alleged murder weapon with him and the shoes that matched evidence that was found at the crime scene. So it was not looking good for him. Not looking good for him at all. And so he's charged with 1 federal count of transporting of firearms across state line with the intent to commit a felony. And that alone carries a 10-year maximum sentence. Generally, they don't always get the max unless the crime is so heinous. And that is a heinous crime. But not as heinous as these other ones. You know, he might have to confess to a bunch of stuff and then they even drop this one or something. And so I'm sure that he won't, if he's convicted, again, right now, he's alleged, he's a suspect. They have tied these things to him. But of course, you're supposed to get in front of the jury if you plead not guilty. And so when they did this, this is where it's like, okay, they're following him. They're seeing what's going on. They're seeing it. Number one, they got to put together enough evidence to get this warrant to charge him. And right now, he's being held on federal charges right now for those. And St. Louis County prosecutors, they allege that Reed shot a man on September 12th in St. Louis County multiple times in the chest. So there was no doubt this occurred, and they tied the bullets to that gun, the shell casings to that gun. And he was just seriously injured, and he does suffer from a permanent disability. You know, let's get justice for this gentleman. And the first homicide happened the next day. This was the first homicide, and this is the youngest of his victims. Marnay Haynes, rest in peace, Marnay. She was only 16 years old, and she was shot and killed by this gun. You know, I'm trying to not go all in with saying you're so guilty, but my gosh, you look so guilty. I said it. So 3 days after that, on September 19th, police found 24-year-old Casey Ross in a vacant lot suffering from a gunshot wound. He was pronounced dead at the scene. And rest in peace, Casey Ross. You know, and I didn't finish the September 16th. In between there, kind of messed up there. But 3 days later, after the first shooting of Marna Haynes on September 16th, they found 49-year-old Pamela Abercrombie. Rest in peace, Pamela Abercrombie. And they found them lying in the street suffering from a gunshot wound. She died at a hospital. They didn't... I mean, this guy was out. He was out to hurt people. He was out to hurt people. And that's when 3 days after that, on September 19th, they found 24-year-old Casey Ross in a vacant lot suffering from a gunshot wound. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Like, I mean, this guy, this is what a serial killer is defined as: someone who kills 3 or more people. Then you're a serial killer. I don't know if it matters when you do it, the time frame you do it. To me, I mean, killing 1 is bad enough. Making it 3 like a crime spree, like, that's just crazy. And I mean, that's just worse than I don't know. But on September 26th, the killer struck again. This time in Ferguson, about 6 miles from where I used to live in Florissant. And police found 40-year-old Lester Robinson dead in that street, in that Barbados lane there in Ferguson, around 7:15 in the morning. Man. And so, and you know, there's something called ShotSpotter. Let's see. What is ShotSpotter? Let's find out together. How about that? Let's see what that is, huh? ShotSpotter St. Louis. Okay. It's a gunshot detection system. So they used a gunshot detection system. I don't know how reliable those are. This is the first time even really hearing about it. I would think that would make sense. I was just even thinking the other day, I'm like, if someone shoots a gun, I would think that it would carry in the air of that area for a little while. I mean, I would think because of the way, everything it puts off when a gun is fired. So, But apparently this shot spotter detected shots that had been fired there. And the shot spotter is a program that detects gunfire through audio waves and alerts police to the location. Interesting. So let me say that again. ShotSpotter is a program that detects gunfire through audio waves and alerts police to the location. Interesting. So, And then Kansas police found the body of 35-year-old Damon Irvin on November 1st and the body of 25-year-old rau'daja on November 2nd inside a high-rise 302 unit apartment building. And that's where the address was. And this is where police believe that those young adults were shot and killed several days before they were even found. So they were just in that apartment. I mean, how did he do this? How did he do this? How did he do this? And how did he do this for so long? My gosh, this guy, did he have this planned out? What was his motive? Did he lure them in there? Wow. Rest in peace. Rest in peace, rau'daja. Rest in peace, Lester Robinson. If I didn't get any of you guys. I always want to pay respect for the people that died, whether they're young or extra, super, if they're whatever age, you rather die of living out your whole life, the way God intended it to be. You live your whole life. You don't expect someone to take it away from you young. And these people were all taken way too young. And here we have all the six individuals who have been killed by this gun, which is tied to this killer, looking to be a serial killer. And now we wait to see what will happen. Will they get Mr. Reed? Will he confess before they go to trial? That's what I'm wondering now. And so court records, they show that Reed's wife filed for divorce in Jackson County, Missouri in July. And she currently lives in Kansas City. So that's kind of where a little of this tie-in came from, the Kansas City to St. Louis. And now we're waiting for the court hearing for early December to see what happens there. And his criminal charges, they include an assault charge in his history, includes an assault charge in 2019 and a reckless driving charge in Charlotte. The assault charge, that shows a little violence right there. That definitely shows a little anger and a little violence. Reckless driving, that can still show a little anger. I don't know. Reckless driving is reckless, right? Going way too fast. That's how accidents occur. That's how people die. So it's I get that. That's part of, that's a serious part of the criminal history, I would say. And so now here's a kicker. In 2017, Reed filed a federal lawsuit accusing a public defender of deprivation of his rights while he was incarcerated in the St. Louis County Justice Center, which is in the Clayton, Missouri area. And he said he was being falsely imprisoned and said he wanted the public defender to stop harassing him about undergoing a mental exam, a mental health exam before his trial. He was saying he was mentally fine to stand for that trial and he didn't need to be examined in any way. But the public defender was like, no, we want to see where you're at mentally. And To go and commit 6 crimes like this, again, allegedly, to go and commit 6 heinous killings, if he's found to have done this, I'm going to say you were not mentally fine. And there was obviously red flags there because of all the history of trouble you were getting into. And, they also found that he had an original charge he was facing in that case involving an alleged arson. And but it ended up being dismissed and they did not prosecute him. So that was on his record, but nowhere to go. But in that case, he did ask the court for $50,000 and for his release from custody because his family had left him and he lost his job. And he was traumatized from being in a violent environment. The judge was like, no, we're not giving you $50,000. We're going to dismiss this suit. And that happened in early 2018. And so today, probably around this time, they're having a press conference. So if there's any more bigger updates, I will definitely share. Let's see if they started it yet. How about that? Let's see if they've started anything so far. Let's go to Facebook. Let's see. Alrighty. So let's see. Let's go to lives. Actually, let's just put his name in. Perez Reed. Let's see if there's any live press conference that we can catch on maybe one of the local news. Probably just going to be confirming what we've already kind of. There we go. Let's see, Perez Reed. Any lives? Oh, there was something. Oh, that's me live. That's funny. Okay, nothing live right now around them. Nothing live right now around them except me, huh? So we'll keep you updated as we get more on that story as it continues to develop. But what do you guys think about that so far? What are your thoughts around this? Like, I would like to know what your thoughts are around this, if you don't mind sharing it. Comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are about this. And hey, if you want to hear about other stories that are currently in the news or you want me to cover, just comment below. Let me know. Or otherwise, catch one of these great shows on the side here and you'll be good to go there as you move forward on what's going on out there that we need to be aware of. I'm Manny Rodriguez with Deep True Crime. Thank you for joining me today. If you did, and just, hey, let me know what you would like me to cover. Otherwise, have a great day.